Okay, quick update on the Triumph here. The clamps holding the emissions control, as you can see here, the clamps were never on. The hose was pushed on, but the clamp wasn't pushed on. So the previous mechanic was lazy. Whether or not these were leaking, it looks like there's actually a relatively good seal on both of them. But just a part of laziness on the previous mechanic for not putting these on. Not a big deal, but it's just a pet peeve of mine to see this type of work being neglected. You're already in this far. You're already in this deep. Just finish it. Put the stupid clamp where it's supposed to be. Like here, look here. On this one, you can see I pulled the clamp off. You see how it's clean there where the clamp used to be? That's proper fit. But this, yeah. Okay, anyway, so there's that. Let's head over to the spark plugs here real quick. Just give you a close-up view here. This is what your spark plugs look like. And this, if I may say so, is not terribly bad. It's not certainly not good, but it's not bad. These white specks, if I could focus. Sorry, man, my video skills are not very good. Okay, yeah. So those white specks with a little orange fleck, that's water. That's water and rust that's made its way through your injectors. And I haven't got to the injectors just yet. I got this far and thought I'd just give a quick update because it's bloody cold in here. You can't see my breath, but I can. But this is rust, which simply means that whatever was in the gas tank made its way through the pump, past the filters, through the injectors into the combustion chamber, and landed on the coolest thing in the combustion chamber, which is the spark plug. This is where it is resided, and it's not terrible. I put a bore scope down each cylinder hole to confirm a couple of suspicions. One, has the rust done damage to the cylinder walls? I can't be entirely sure at this point yet, but when I look at the tops of the pistons, each of them show a reflection of what you're seeing here in these spark plugs, which I said is not entirely bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. In other words, I think you can get away with what you have in there right now. Whether or not there is damage done to the cylinder walls below the piston rings, I'm unable to determine with a bore scope. But we will be able to determine what the bike does on a compression test, which I will follow up with a little bit later. But for now, I also wanted to illustrate something to you. Let me just press the pause button. Okay. All right. So I've pulled another spark plug brand new out of the box, and this spark plug, sorry, man, my video skills. This spark plug, although it's not the same as yours, right? You've got CR9 EKs, and this is a CR8EH. I needed to pull this one out just to illustrate to you the differences of my point. So my first point that I have to make about your spark plugs is that not one of them was installed properly. They were all installed fairly gently. Now, in the trade of being a mechanic, there are something called mechanics tracks, kind of like footprints in the snow. You could see where a mechanic has been, kind of like someone walking in the snow, by simply following the tracks. In this case here, we can see, or I can see, and I'm going to let you know, that there are two ways to confirm that these spark plugs were not installed properly. We're going to bring the new one to the front here. And I'm going to get a pointer so that you can see clearly what I'm talking about. Hold the camera as steady as possible. Okay, so these are the threads that are made of steel, and they screw into an aluminum engine block. Okay, and I know you're thinking, but these are twin electrode, and they are, and this is a single electrode, but don't worry about that. This part's not terribly important. What's really important is this little thing that the red pointer is touching. This is called a crush washer. And when a spark plug is installed properly, this crush washer gets, well, crushed. It seals and crushes and ensures that the locking of this spark plug in the engine block is sealed so that it cannot come loose. It's think of it like a sort of emergency brake, so to speak, that holds the spark plug into position. And I could tell, looking at your spark plugs, that this crush washer, having never been installed, you can tell because it's so clean and the box is right there, that these ones were not installed very well. All of them came out fairly loose. This one is probably crushed the most. I don't know if you could kind of If I hold it very steady, you can kind of see the difference between the two here versus there. But if you compare these two, they are, well, very, very similar. All right. The second way that we could tell that the spark plugs weren't installed, other than my honesty of my discovery here, is you can see that combustion has started here where the black ring is, and then has been leaking up the threads, trying to find its way out into atmosphere. So it's black and then it browns out all the way. You can see that it's been leaking, and that's on all three. So why would this happen? Okay, why would 3 spark plugs be installed incorrectly or gently? First suspicion is the previous technician who worked on your bike was an amateur, an apprentice, somebody who has had prior experience installing spark plugs, doesn't know their own strength, and has damaged more engine blocks by simply installing spark plugs. And here's how it works. In the table of metallurgy, which is just a fancy way of saying steel is stronger than aluminum, a steel spark plug goes into an aluminum engine block. And if you screw this in too tight, you'll strip the threads. And when an apprentice mechanic is in school, it's pounded into their brains to always be gentle with spark plugs. Now, they don't know how far they should turn it, or how far they shouldn't. But what's happening in the mechanic's shop is when an apprentice is told to do this very simple job, install spark plugs, they go and they use a wrench and they turn it in there and they remember their schooling, be gentle, because you can destroy an engine block by installing these too hard. So they go gentle and they think to themselves, well, I don't know if this is tight enough or not. I'm just going to leave it the way it is. And they maybe even pop their head up and crane and look around the room for their mentor who's on the phone or buried under a motorcycle or dealing with customers or even out of the shop. And they figure, you know what? I'm not going to bother my mentor for this. I'm just going to seal up the bike and let it go. So they seal up the bike, they put the caps back on or the spark plug coils back on, the bike starts, it runs, and as long as it rides out the shop, well, then the apprentice feels like they've done a good job. So that's the first way that spark plugs can consistently, 3 of them, can be installed wrong. The other mechanic's track or tale that tells us why a spark plug is installed loosely is because the aluminum block hole to which the spark plug is installed is already buggered. A previous technician has already stripped the spark plug hole and therefore cannot install the spark plug as tight as it could be because it's just going to pull out the threads. So they very gingerly, very carefully screw it into position, and they're just like, yeah, just leave it like that, and that'll be that. It is always a good follow-up to put a bore scope down the hole to which one of the 2, 3, or 4, in this case it's 3 spark plug holes, to confirm why one is loose when the others are tight. But in this case, all 3 of yours were loose. I put a bore scope down the hole. The threads look to be good. If they were chewed up, there'd be evidence of aluminum from the engine block strewn all over these threads, and they all look relatively clean, even though they're all fairly carbonized. So I'm just going to say that the previous technician was either A, lazy, and we could kind of affirm this because he didn't even put the hose clamps on, or B, is an apprentice, which is very suspicious because none of these crush washers are crushed. And there really isn't a C or a 3. It's just going to be those 2. Okay, moving right along from the spark plugs to your coils. All right, I tested each of them because when they're in my hands, I may as well. And they all actually tested really good. 11.4 on secondary, 1.5 on primary. Same consistent, except this one guy here. We've got 1.5, 1.5, and 1.5. But here we've got a 1096. We are not going to worry about 1096 from 1104. That's 0.08 difference from here to there. It's not enough to make us say, oh, we're in trouble. You're perfectly good with what you have here. I strongly recommend we're going to keep going. I'm also going to recommend that we continue to use these spark plugs. Even though they don't look very good, they can very easily clean up. But in earnest, as cheap as spark plugs are, let's just replace them. That's my opinion. Yes, you can absolutely continue to reuse these. They'll clean up and they'll work just fine. But they're already here. Let's just put in the new ones. All right, sir, that is your follow-up. I'll come back a little bit later on with the compression test. There's still lots of work to do here. As you know, I haven't even started on the fuel pump yet. The old one is just lying here in pieces and is all dried up. I'm so happy that you have got a replacement. Oh, I can't wait to get that installed and just be done with this and just get to the gas tank. Okay, sir, I'll talk to you a little bit later. Ciao for now. Okay, my friend, I got the coils installed again and was just about to get ready to start your compression test. Had your battery on the charger overnight. It's come up full, which is great. Hit the key, or sorry, turn the key, hit the starter button. I was like, what is going on? So I did a little investigating, and I have to bring your attention down to right there. Let's zoom in. Yep, right there. Okay, so this is a vacuum hose or overflow hose for the gas tank. We'll just move this out of the way for the sake of video. And we will expose, yeah, you'll look right there and you will see some wires right here. You can clearly see some exposed. These are really brittle, and even just poking them with this probe, you can see how gentle. Yeah, there's no, okay. All right, so these are stator wires. Let's just back out a little bit. These are stator wires, and the stator in motorcycle language is how the bike makes electricity. Yeah. Well, yeah. Is how the bike makes electricity. Oh, these are really crunchy. Yeah, this just, yeah, motherfucker. Okay, let me, yeah, oh boy, this has been getting hot for some time. Look at the Welch marks on there. All three, yeah, okay. Let me get back to you. Before I do, let's just pull back a little bit more. Okay, so these are the stator wires that I just pointed out to you. Move those aside. Move the fuel line out of the way. This comes from the gas tank and goes to the fuel injectors, which I also haven't got to yet. And just wanted to point out here in this video that it appears your bike has got a pretty nice oil leak. You can kind of tell. Let me just tilt this up a little bit more and we'll zoom in. Oh yeah, see, look right there, motherfucker. So, sorry, my language. So this is a crankcase breather pipe. So oil fumes come out of this pipe and gets fed into this rubber hose. And as you can probably tell, that rubber hose is missing what? You guessed it, a clamp. God damn it. So I don't think your bike has got an oil leak. I think it's just been barfing out of here and blowing all over the engine as the bike moves, and it's just making a big mess. Okay, so stand down the red alert on the oil leak for now. It's just annoying finding this and seeing this, and everything in here is just caked in dirt, obviously, and oil. Yeah. Okay, let's just get back to our issues with the stator. I will probably, look at that, my goodness. I'll probably have to cut these stator wires, do a test on the stator from that direction, and eliminate this entire plug, because I bet you it's completely, yeah, it is rock solid, will not come apart. Yeah, we'll just cut these wires, eliminate this plug, wire it direct. If the stator tests good, if it tests bad, then we'll have another discussion about going to get parts. Just let's pause the video. Let me just do a quick test. That wiring is so crunchy. Oh God, look at that. Even on the other side, so I'll have to cut it right back into the harness. Oh man, what a mess. Okay, let's do a quick continuity test. I'll take this red one, I'll put it on the chassis. We'll check first winding. Good. Good. And also good. Okay, I think we have ourselves a good stator here. And we're going to check continuity between each of them. Come on. Okay, it's jumping around a little bit because my hands are unsteady. Let's just hold on a sec. Put this guy on here. This is just an alligator clip, so that I don't have to fumble around so much. All right, so put that guy on there. Good. Also very good. Okay, I'm going to say, without having been able to do a output test, that your stator tests good. So that's very good. Now let's go find your reg rec and do a test on it. Okay, Romeo, we got to talk. I went to check your regulator rectifier, and it's where's my flashlight? And it's not there. So yeah, it's supposed to be. You can see where that fastener hole. If I could possibly focus because my camera skills are so bad. But that's where your reg rec is supposed to be. It's supposed to be in this vicinity, and it's not. So, you know, bike's kind of old. Someone else has been here before us, and it's been moved. I don't know where it is, but I'm going to have to strip your bike to try and find out where it is because it's not under the seat. It's not under the back seat. I don't know where it is. You got to pull the plastics off. But whilst pulling the plastics off, I'm sort of starting to notice that there's a number of things that are probably going to require, yeah, look at this, probably going to require some attention. Like this goes beyond your chain and sprockets. Side stand bolt is just ready to drop out, and maybe one of the reasons why it hasn't yet is kind of beyond me. But okay, so there's that. We've got a cracked lens here for your signal lights. This could be a challenge to the charging system. I know it's just an LED light, but it's still a potential dead short in the wiring. On the subject of cracked things, this is the back of the projector headlight for the 675. And you can see right there that the plastic casing is obviously cracked. This is allowing moisture and water to get in there. Let's go around the other side here real quick. So this signal light you can see is clearly broken off. I was going to start looking for your reg rec and notice that the plastic fairing, so I can't really show it, but I guess there's a HID lighting upgrade on this bike, and the ballast literally is just hanging. Yeah, it's literally just like dangling around. You can kind of see it there, but it's just dangling. So there, and your coolant bottle is 100% empty. Yeah, that's the minimum. There's the maximum there. You're nowhere near, and that kind of looks like schmutz at the bottom of it. So what I'm saying, in addition to these cooked up stator wires and miscellaneous things, I just want to know where you want to go with this. Do you want me to go over your bike and take care of these types of things? Because some of them, are pretty dangerous. Actually, just above here, this is your coolant hose. Was looking in at your upper hose. Where did it go? Yeah, okay, so right in there, this right here is a header pipe. Rusty as all rusty could be because it's not really been heated to temperature yet, but deep inside there where the camera's unable to focus properly is a coolant leak. Yeah, there you go. There's a coolant leak. So this is probably why the overflow bottle is empty. There's just a number of things, right, that, in my opinion, are going to require attention. Preventative if we get after them, and if we don't, then I don't want to use the word explosive, but potentially it could bite you in the ass. So let's talk about where we are with your bike. I know you've hired me to take on a couple of things, and of course we're getting there, but we're being stepped back several times. When I open up, like, oh, look at this, oh, look at that. I just want to know how to not go over budget, how to respectfully service your bike in a way that that both of us feel good about what we're doing here. All right, man. Okay, my friend, and here is why. We have a considerable setback here. I have provided your bike everything it thinks it needs to try to start. So I'm going to show you our compression test live. So there's the test gauge. We're in cylinder 1. We're going to hit the key. The kill switch is already in run. I'm going to squeeze the clutch lever over here, and we're going to just zoom in on the gauge so that you can watch real time what I'm doing. You see that? Yeah, okay. And with this hand, I'm going to go over to the starter button and hit the starter. Here we go. Oh, come on. Okay, we're going to call that probably 70 PSI, and in my humble opinion, it kind of struggled to make that number. Okay, I'm going to pause the video, and I'm going to move this from cylinder 1 to cylinder 2 and cylinder 3. So hold on one sec, be right back. Okay, here we are now. We're plugged into cylinder 2. Put that where you can see it. Ah, come on, man. Behave. Okay, I might be able to hold it. No, I need the other. Okay, there we go. There we go. Here we go. Here's cylinder 2. Come on. Okay, so it is climbing. That was a considerable test. It is climbing. We got 100 there. This is not a good number. I mean, it's better than the cylinder 1, but we want to see well over 160. So 150, 160, anywhere in between 150 and 200, that would be great, but we're nowhere near it. And it's climbing. It's just making it very slowly. Okay, we're going to pause the button, pause the video, and go to cylinder 3. Okay, so here we are now. Cylinder 3, I think you can kind of see that. Okay, good, here we go. What? No, I'm doing something wrong here. Oh, I wasn't even plugged in. Okay, let's get this plugged in. Here we go. Sorry, that's my bad. Come on, get into position. Come on. It's hard to do this when you don't. Actually, I can do this. I can clamp your clutch cable, your clutch lever. It's this handy dandy little clutch holder. Hold this so you can see it and press the starter button. Here we go. Okay, so same as cylinder 1. Do you have bent valves? No. Do you need a valve service? Absolutely. The compression test is absolutely showing a need for a valve inspection. Now, conclusive of my findings when I looked inside the bore, when I took the borescope and I went down each cylinder just to see if the rust that came from the gas tank had hurt the cylinder walls. I'm going to go in there and take a second look. But right now, the way it looks, the first place to check based on low numbers on all 3 cylinders is that your exhaust valves are probably all super tight and they are able to seal, but not as effectively as they could, which means your bike likely needs a valve service. So now the budgetary requirements for this bike have exceeded well over what we initially talked about. We should discuss where your money should go first. I'm going to write a list of what I think this bike needs first. But even before I've started assembling this list, I want to tell you that you're looking at a value closer to $2,000. That includes where we initially started with what you hired me to do, the fuel pump and blah, 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 blah. But yeah, we're in that ballpark simply because I don't know what the end will be. But you know, there are just so many things that that we are finding. The stator wires tested good, but I haven't been able to do an output test. I haven't even been able to find the reg rec. When I took the plastics off, I found things dangling, cracked, and broken. It's ongoing, so we sort of need to prioritize what's needed. In my opinion, it kind of needs everything so that the bike is not only reliable, but it's also safe. Jeepers. Okay, let's figure this out. Okay, pulled off the right side fairings here and found the reg rec, and found the wires from the reg rec. Here they are, and if you just follow them along, you can clearly see right here that you've got some really badly cooked wires here. This doesn't necessarily mean that your reg rec is cooked, although the wiring absolutely suggests. Jesus, yeah, it was broken right off. Look at that. But it probably is. I will cut these wires and perform a test on them. But listen, even before we go there, let's just discuss what we're going to do. We've got a lot to do.